the quality of opportunity that is present is probably one of the most harmful things in our society. And I think as a woman, that is probably the hardest thing to get over.
This is why we have to do this from our point of view, from our perspective. If we don't change it, the attitude, then it's never going to change.
Understand that it's not always speaking out for women, but with women, alongside women, because we don't want to reinforce that dominance.
I'm a he for she because I have an awareness. I can't let my daughters or my wife suffer because I didn't do my job. It starts with me.
Really put yourself in somebody's shoes and say, hey, if this was my mother, if this was my sister, if this was my daughter, would I like the way she's being treated? Am I setting the right example for other young men?
If having the discussion about this topic, like that's something that we bring back, like to our neighborhoods, to our communities, to our families, because women are by right, like the pillars of our community. Like there are no men if there are no women.
I'm a he for she for every single survivor that I've ever met, so that they can have even the slightest hope that, a world where these conversations are not needed is, attainable.
I am a he for she.
I am a he for she.
I am a he for she.
We are he for she.
دوستان با درود فراوان به شما به برنامه مادر و کودک MomTalk Nelly خوش آمدید. من نلی فرنودی ظهیری هستم و خیلی خیلی خوشحال و شادمان هستم که در این برنامه موضوع بسیار مهم زنان سازمان ملل و زنان در سراسر جهان به خصوص در این هفته گرامی روز جهانی زن با دوست عزیزم، با مردی که او هم مثل این آقایونی که مشاهده کردین مردان رشید، مردان شجاع، مردان مبارز، مردان شریف، مردان آزاده‌ای هستند که پشت زنانی هستند که برای تساوی حقوق بشر، برای تساوی به اصطلاح قدرت در خانواده، برای پرورش و ارتقاء آگاهی در رابطه با حقوق بشر و برابری و تساوی و خوشبختی و زندگی توأم با شادمانی فعالیت می‌کنند. دوست و به اصطلاح مبارز و مرد و پدر و همسر گرامی که امروز باهاش این گفتمان رو دارم، آقای الایجا باک هستند که ایشون فاوندر و به اصطلاح تأسیسگذار یک جامعه بسیار جالب به نام Gifted Parents هستند. چرا جالبه؟ چرا Gifted Parents جالبه؟ به خاطر اینکه از سراسر جهان یک موومنت، یک مبارزه یا شاید بگم بیشتر فعالیت بین مادر و پدران به پا ریخته شده یا خیزشی به پا شده در رابطه با مادر و پدرانی که برای صلح میخوان مبارزه کنن. مبارزه صلح آمیز، مبارزه‌ای که با نگفتن به زور به اون کسانی که نابرابری رو میخوان جلو ببرن و به قول معروف بی‌شرافتانه زورگویی میکنن و دیکتاتوری زندگی و به اصطلاح راه رشد و خوشبختی مردان و زنان رو جلوشو میگیرن، در این راه فعالیت میکنن. این یک کامیونیتی آنلاین هستش. Gifted Parents یک کامیونیتی هستش که مادر و پدران، والدین در هر جای جهان که هستین به صورت به اصطلاح تارنمایی میتونین ممبر بشین، میتونین فعالیت بکنین. وقتی که ممبر شدین و جزو این کامیونیتی، جزو این جامعه مادر و پدرها شدین، بعد از طریق مختلف، از طریق آموزش و پرورش، از طریق کمک رسانی و کانکت کردن شما به اون کسانی که میتونن شما رو کمک بکنن، راهنمایی بکنن، منتورشیپ، کوچینگ و غیره، از کوچیک و بزرگ، از بچه ها گرفته تا به بالا والدین به شما به اصطلاح خدمت رسانی میکنه. Gifted Parents founder Elijah Buck, welcome to Mom Talk. I'm so happy to have this conversation on this very, very important topic of equality, empowering moms and dads and families so that they can live better, enriched, happy lives. Welcome to Mom Talk, Elijah.
Thank you so much for having me, Nelly. It's so good to see you. As you know, we were in Los Angeles together in the same studio, and now we have moved to New York. But still good to see you over Skype. Thanks for the technology.
Yes, thanks to the technology and thanks for being connected. I was just explaining in Farsi in the opening of the show that your gifted parents, the community, our community, is so valuable because it is such a global community. There is such enrichment and global citizenship and connecting the families that it brings us together. It empowers voices of those who are fighting for equality and justice, and empowers families who want to do something and help and cultivate peace around the world. So thank you for your leadership.
Yeah, sure. And because of, as you mentioned, the members of our Gifted Parents community, they're now over in 43 different countries around the world in over 100 major cities. And what really enables them to be connected is this technology that we have these days. And now, just like you and I are talking 3,000 miles away, we have people connecting with each other in tens of thousands of miles around the world. And they're connecting because they care about their parents and they care about their children's education. And not just the moms who are members of this network, but as you can see from the website, there's a snapshot of the members' profile, and almost half of the members, they are fathers, just like myself. And that is one of the, I guess, very positive signs of this inequality that we are so concerned about, the he for she movement. And a lot of dads, who are really concerned about their children's education, they are involved, and more and more of them are getting involved, which I think is a very good sign.
We do live in a era in time in which coming alongside each other, as we heard with these brave men talking about the importance of equality at the workplace, at school, at home, in our community. Why is it important to ask wiser and better questions today regarding gender parity, equality, equanimity, and empowering all within the family structure?
Yeah, of course. And as you know, I am originally from Asia, Korea specifically, and traditionally in Asian countries, there is an inequality. I think the term inequality may not be the most appropriate term. It's just the way the culture was evolved, is that the man of the house goes out to work, and the woman of the house, they take care of the children and the show around the house. But nowadays, even in Asian countries, they share what needs to be done. It's not just the concept of the husbands helping wives, but it's just doing things that needs to be done around the house, because they live together and they have the same responsibility and they have the same type of, and there is only one, if they have a common, denominator that things needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And both as parents, they just do things together, as opposed to saying that, oh, you're the woman, so you do this, and I'm the man, so I do this. And it's just, maybe it's a different generation, the younger generation. Parents, they feel that way. So the older generations, they do things the way they were used to be done. Mm-hmm. But even it's obviously it's very discouraging to know that even in today's world, there are people thinking that the women are supposed to do these type of things. But I think with the programs like I know you're very strong advocate of women's rights, and with the movements, the global movements like He for She, I think more and more people and more fathers specifically are becoming more aware of the inequality that exists in today's world, and they are finding a way to address that issue, which I think is great.
It's very important, and I love that you are amongst the type of peace learning community parents who get sort of this inside out process, that it starts from home, it starts from you and me, and trying to cultivate equanimity in our work and home and school environment. So there has to be certain authenticity, certain transparency, certain mindset, certain mindfulness about making the right decisions so that we're all moving in the right direction. And I think it's taken us about 10 years to raise awareness, to come to a place where as a community, as a global community, we get the importance and significance of equality, gender equality, and men and women having similar rights, similar equal pay. So it's taken 10 years for that awareness, and now perhaps these next few years ahead of us, we need to put those thoughts and mindsets into action and to come together, trying to galvanize what it really looks like, what it feels like to empower all and to have gender equality within the family structure, the family system. And I am really happy about hearing, the stories of families who make decisions to switch roles, gender roles, for dads who decide to stay home and be with children and be the caretakers, while the women are back in the workplace. And I know for you and your family, you've gone through a couple of those cycles when you paused for peace and what made sense for your family, and then you empowered your wife and just allowed her to go back into the workplace.
Sure, and fortunately for us, I have built a business that allows me to have my own free time and not be tied into the office hours. And my wife also was a housewife ever since we got married until recently. She declared to me that now that she's done having children, and we have 3 young children, as you know, all under 5. So for the last 6 years, almost 7 years, she's been a staying-home mom. But now that she said that I'm going back to my profession, which was a nurse at a hospital, to help people who are in need, which is wonderful. And as you mentioned, there are many couples nowadays that the wife is working and the husband is taking care of what needs to be done around the house. I mean, it's all of their individual choices. I mean, if the wife makes more money, of course the wife has to go out, and that's just the way things are. And if the husband is better at taking care of the household work and taking care of children, I sometimes feel like I'm better at that than my wife. So I love being at home with my children and doing the dishes. I know for a fact that I wash dishes better than my wife. So I do things like that. So, and there are many couples. And so just reversing those traditional roles, I think it just comes naturally. It just makes sense. It makes more sense than being in a stereotype of the man has to go out, wife has to stay. So it works for us. So.
Great. I'm going to pause now for peace, and I'm going to translate. I'm going to pause and translate our dialogue, our peace learning dialogue, because it's so valuable. دوستان به صحبت و گفتمان با آقای الایجا باکس صحبت میکنیم. ایشون فاوندر گیفتد پرنتس کامیونیتی هستن، یک کامیونیتی که روی به اصطلاح اینترنت از طریق تارنمایی میتونین با این کامیونیتی شما عضو بشین و به اصطلاح شرکت بکنین در این اجتماع. و بعد نیتشون این هستش که ما مادر و پدرها در هر کجای این دهکده جهانی که هستیم با هم بتونیم گفتمان داشته باشیم، با هم بتونیم کنفرانس های زوم کال بذاریم، با هم بتونیم سوالایی که داریم با هم مطرح بکنیم و از زندگی و شیوه زندگی همدیگه بهره مند بشیم در این گفتمان ها. آقای الایجا خودشون همینطور که مطرح کردن آسیایی هستند و بعد در این چارچوب فرهنگی که این رو باز کردن که درسته ما در قرنهای گذشته موقعی که زندگی ها بیشتر سنتی بود زنان خب بیشتر خونه میموندن، بچه ها رو به اصطلاح بزرگ میکردن، در پرورش بچه ها کار میکردن و مردان بیشتر سر کار میرفتن. ولی امروزه در زندگی مدرن امروزه و به خصوص هرچی که زنان پیشرفته تر شدن و به اصطلاح سواد و شغل و در محیط جامعه کارشون ارتقا پیدا کرده و بالاتر رفته، پیشرفت کرده، حالا به یک جایی رسیدن که در این تصمیم گیری ها برای اون تصمیم گیری که برای خانواده خوب هستش قدرت بیشتری دارن که اون تصمیمی رو بگیریم در خانواده که به قول معروف، به قول اینجا یا کامن سنس داره، یعنی با عقل جور در میاد. و خب بعضی از اوقات اگر زنی شغل بهتری داره و همسرش میخواد او رو ساپورت بکنه، او رو حمایت بکنه، او میتونه کار بکنه. خیلی از مثلا خانواده های جوون که من امروزه باشون کار میکنم، خیلی از اوقات زن در خونه کار میکنه و مرد با بچه ها رو مراقبت میکنه، نگهداری میکنه. بنابراین یه مقدار انعطاف پذیری بیشتری برای حمایت از زنان و پیشرفت زنان، به خصوص در جامعه، به خصوص در مشاغلشون، به خصوص در به اصطلاح کار و اون پیشرفت در کارشون خیلی خیلی مهمه. و لزوما این به معنای این نیست که ما میخوایم یه پوزیشن، یک دید فمینیستی داشته باشیم. اصلا اینطور نیست، بلکه بیشتر من خودم شخصا فمینیست نیستم، ولی در چارچوب ارتقا برای زنان و به اصطلاح رشد زنان و پیشبرد زنان، پیشرفت زنان، دختران و پسران در خانواده میبینم که این بسیار بسیار مهمه برای پرورش صلح، برای ارتقای صلح. و اگر ما صلح رو از منزل، از خونه میخوایم شروع بکنیم، از خانواده، این اولین یا میتونه از اون اولین قدم هایی باشه که برمیداریم. حقوق بشر رو، حقوق تساوی رو، اون چیزایی که شاید 2500 سال پیش کوروش کبیر در به اصطلاح نوحه کوروش، این سایرس سیلندر به اصطلاح بیان کرد و مطرح کرد در لیدرشپش، در رهبریش، اونا رو باید از ابتدا به بچه هامون یاد بدیم، صحبت بکنیم، گفتمان داشته باشیم. من خودم با بچه هام، با بچه هایی که کار میکنم، همیشه موضوع قدرت و به اصطلاح جنسیت رو از اون گفتمان‌های اولیه ما هستش در کاری که با هم می‌کنیم در چارچوب PeaceLearning. بنابراین از بچه‌هامون باید بپرسیم نظرشون در رابطه با قدرت چی هستش، قدرت رو چجوری می‌بینن، باهاشون اینو بشکافیم. در بازی خیلی از اوقات میتونین شما مثال‌های خیلی قوی بزنین که بچه، کودک بدونه که قدرت چی هستش، چگونه میتونه با برابری و تساوی و عادلانه تر و شرافتمندانه تر این رابطه رو پرورش بده و جلو ببره. و این از اون ابزارهایی هستش یا از اون به اصطلاح وسیله هایی هستش که میبایست از درون به بیرون بیاد. یعنی اگر من مادر، من پدر ندونم، نتوانم، اندیشه نداشته باشم پشت اینکه اون تساوی و برابری و موضوع قدرت و جنسیت چگونه هستش در رابطه زناشویی من، در رابطه مادر و پدری من، چجوری من میتونم اینو بیاموزم یا تدریس بکنم یا کار بکنم یا بازی بکنم با بچم. بنابراین از من مادر، من پدر شروع میشه. این کانسپت ها باید اول شفاف باشه بین زناشویی، تساوی، برابری حرمت برای همدیگه در چارچوب قدرت و قدرت معناش چی هستش برای هر فرد در زناشویی. اینا اون قدم‌های اولیه پیس لرنینگ هستش که باید این کانسپت قدرت در خانواده جا بیفته. So Elijah, just getting back to our conversation on gender and the impact of gender equality in family, I'm always intrigued by children and kids, their perception of power within the family structure. You know, who do they think has more power in the family? I always like to ask kids this question: who has more power, you know, mom or dad? And this opens up this really interesting dialogue about power and what power means. Sometimes kids will say, well, I don't know. You know, it gets them thinking. So then I say, well, let's explore together. Let's wonder. So what does power mean to you? And so you kind of unpack this power within the context of peace learning and gender. And it's always fascinating to know, you know, how kids grow within that context of understanding and education, and then having a better understanding of what gender equality is within the family structure. And I always unpack that as one of the primary steps of peace learning, because without our understanding, our very primary understanding of power, we can't really talk about peace, can we?
Sure. I guess I can only speak for my own household. When it comes to the word power,
yeah,
for sure, I think my wife has more power than me. But actually, it's very interesting question. I should ask my kids, although they're young, they're probably not going to be able to answer it in a really meaningful way. But it's not like me or my wife, we're telling each other what to do and who has more power than the other. We trying to do things together as much as possible, and at least we show to other children that mom and dad have an equal say in the decision-making process, and we respect each other's opinions, and that's how we're trying to do it. But also because personally we have a religious faith, you know, we're both Christians, and we try to, whenever we face an obstacle or face an important decision that we have to make, we are trying to pray together, and that's I guess the ultimate power that we are trying to rely on, and so far it has worked out very well for us.
That is true, and so in the context of that dialogue, oftentimes, you know, who holds power? What's real power versus, you know, man-made power, and so that opens up this wonderful conversation that families can engage in, and not to shy away, because sometimes it can be intimidating. I think sometimes, even for students, you know, I've done this at schools and with school kids, it's intimidating because, you know, oftentimes the kids will look to the bully or, you know, the kid with a lot of power in their pack, and they're afraid to speak up, you know? So they're intimidated, or they don't want to rock the boat, or they don't want to, you know, bring up a conversation that is uncomfortable. But it's really healing and therapeutic when that conversation is unpacked. And if perhaps someone, you know, a peace learning expert, or someone who has expertise in processing the dialogue and talking to kids about it can really unpack it for them, so they understand, yes, power is for everyone within a circle of people, circle of students, should have equal power. You know, that's how God made us, with equality, right? So for those who have faith, perhaps taking it the next step and reminding each other of who really holds the real power, and how, you know, that faith or that connection, that heartfelt connection is always humbling. You know, it brings a lot of humility within our relationships. And so when you unpack power in the context of group or group dynamics, it's very, very therapeutic. And it is part of the sort of Press for Progress dialogue this week from International Women's Day, because we're talking about gender parity and equality. So if you look at it, you know, men today make more money. They're more in positions of power. They're more running countries and heads of states and leadership circles. They're, you know, in some parts of the world, they dominate. The women don't have a voice. The men get to choose what the women wear. You know, they kind of dictate, you need to wear hijab or else you're going to jail and you're going to be persecuted and you're going to be tortured. So a lot of men in power are taking advantage and abusing their power. And so it's such an important dialogue to start and unpack it early within the family system, because if children, if young kids are aware of this dynamic and how it's not fair, you know, then they can have that awareness early on, and those seeds of peace, equality, equanimity, why is it valuable to have those seeds within the future global citizen is just more clear. You know, there's more clarity and it's more intentional.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're trying to do in my home and also with a gifted parent, is that I personally believe that the most important education is done at home.
Yes.
And if you create an environment where the children know and the children learn from their own parents, you know, the importance of equality in gender and in everything else, they will grow up knowing that naturally. And when they, you know, get older and when they go out to the society, they'll naturally practice what they have learned growing up. And I think it's also common sense. It's very difficult to change somebody's belief. You know, if somebody grew up in certain, you know, belief or certain culture, it's going to take a lot to persuade somebody something that they don't believe in. But if you are a parent who is a very conscious parent who knows what needs to be done and what is the right way to teach your children about, and if you raise your children that way, then it'll be just natural. When they get older, they'll be able to voice their opinions in the right way. And with the issue of inequality, the gender inequality, hopefully it will be resolved by educating the parents the right way, the way it should be done. And some of those examples you mentioned in some of the countries where women don't have the equal rights, it's probably because they grew up in a culture and grew up in an environment where their parents didn't teach them, didn't teach daughters, you know, that you are, you know, able to voice your opinion, or you are just as able, but you are just, you know, as competent in doing things as the boys. And that's probably the reason why nowadays the grown-ups, the women grown-ups, they are not able to do this. But even in today's generation, if we teach our children the different way and to teach things differently, then hopefully in the future generation they'll have a better outcome.
So having the courage as a parent today to take a stand, to think peace, think babies, think future, and how as individuals, as citizens, we are responsible, we're socially responsible to cultivate peace, a better life for our children. And so if you're full-heartedly committed to that mission, then you know what you need to do. Because we see the research is clear in the field of economics, in the field of health, mental health, and education. When women are empowered, when women are in position of health, wellness, are treated well, and are given the right opportunities to thrive and grow and be happy, families are healthier, they're happier, they're wealthier, and they do better. This is not just me, not just Dr. Nelly saying this. Go look up the research. World Economics Forums, the Ministry of Health and Education, all across the board, many, many parts of the world, this is a global concept, are affirming when you treat women, empower them, bring more equality and justice and gender equality into your families, into your homes, into your workplace, into your school, into your community, you are going to benefit from it as a community, as a society. So the happier the wife, the happier the life, the happier the family, the happier the mom, the happier the kids, the happier the family and world. There is a very strong correlation there that is not a false narrative. It's actually, there's strong evidence, empirical evidence, that we need to honor, you know, as scientists, as educators, as just, I mean, you can test this within your family, right? When you pay attention to your wife and your wife is feeling relaxed and happy, the full family is benefiting from that, right?
Of course.
Same with you. I'm not saying don't pay attention to the dads and the men in our community. I'm saying there has to be equality. But, so without equality, without creating those opportunities for women to thrive, we will suffer as a community as a whole. Because I've listened to too many stories of my clients who had those early years of suffering when men or dads or fathers or uncles in the family did not treat their wives, their moms, their aunties, and the females and the women in the household, the families, and they suffered. Men or women, boys or girls, they suffered equally because their moms were suffering. And so it's really, really important to honor women's rights. I think what's happening today in the Middle East, especially in Iran with Iran protests, the unveiling, you know, the brave women taking off their scarves and standing up for peace and justice and demanding gender equality and fairness is really, really important. I think we all need to tune in, to zoom in, to focus and pay attention and honor them and say, we're with you. We hear you, we see you, and you are correct. You are right to want equality, gender equality, and fairness. You are right to want to choose your attire. You know, I lived in Iran during the revolution, and at age 9, actually, I was forced to wear the hijab, the scarf. And I remember as a little girl just how difficult it was to do that because I didn't believe in it. It didn't make sense to me, and I didn't want to do it. And I had to. It was forced upon me. And in fact, I remember a couple of times when I was skiing or when I was in public, I had the, you know, the guard, the National Guard, the Pastaran, Sepahi, I don't know the English word, but those people, the policemen who worked for the government, they came up to me. I was only 9. I was only 9 years old. So I imagine, you know, my 9-year-old daughter skiing, and these guys, these men came up to me and attacked me really harshly. And I still, you know, remember the rage and the anger and the violence that, you know, they put on me. So, you know, if they can do that to a 9-year-old, and if they're doing that to women today across the nation in Iran, imagine the harm and the injustice and the suffering of these women who are standing for what's right. And so my heart goes out to them, and I'm very proud of them, and I know that the courage that they're showing today will not go unseen. I know that their voices will be heard, and I know with technology today, their story will be told. And this story will last forever, just like Hamilton. You know, we now have this wonderful representation, or this theatrical piece, Hamilton, that everyone enjoys. And the story of the American Revolution, you know, continues to live within the young generation's heart and minds. And I know one day the Iranian protesters' story will be remembered forever. And So I'm happy that this week for International Women's Day, we're able to galvanize together, to come alongside each other, to connect, whether it's via technology or in person at gatherings and so forth, to talk about what really matters, what's important to tomorrow's future, cultivating peace and peace learning through equality, gender equality. And speaking the truth, you know, without equality within the family structure, there's going to be a lot of harm and damage that we have to unpack and process later years, as I see and do in therapy with my clients. So if you are interested in preventing the harm and suffering, then take a stand for it. Take action. Press for progress. Let people know how you will take those steps in galvanizing, strategizing, creating some sort of connection, using technology, social media, and in any ways, you know, voice your voice. Let people hear you and what it is that you're doing in asking better questions to not just raise awareness, because we're done with raising awareness. I think we now need to take action. So how are you taking action? If you have a company, if you're in a position that you can hire more women and you can provide opportunities for women to be employed and be in positions of leadership, then you have that responsibility to do that. So Elijah, I know in the context of economics and business, the conversation of gender equality always is a hot topic. And I know you're a businessman. I know you work with a lot of companies and people, or you're connected to a lot of people who are in the business world. Have you seen any change in the past, let's say, 10 years within with regards to gender equality and women having more opportunities in the workplace?
Well, my professional background is in real estate investment, and specifically in the commercial real estate. And as you know, it's very male-dominated field. And even though there are now more and more female brokers and real estate agents, still the majority of them are run by male. And I mean, this is my 17th year doing it, but I actually never thought anything of it. The fact that there were very small presence of female commercial real estate investors. But now that I got the awareness, and now, as you just said, you know, everybody's aware of this issue, and time to take the action on it. For me to take any action on it, I guess I can hire more women. But it just, for me, as an executive, as an owner of the company, for me, whether an applicant is a male or female, it really doesn't matter. For me, it's just somebody who can do the better job. And that's the one that's going to determine who gets the job. And when it comes to the numbers, I mean, the properties, they're not male or female, it's just the property. So it's that kind of work, but honestly, I don't have a very good answer to that, but to how to take action on this gender inequality. But all I can think of at this very moment is to keep talking about this issue with people in my business circle. But honestly, as you said, everybody knows that there is an inequality in every industry, in every sector, in every level of people's careers. And it's just a matter of executives like myself. We hire, I guess we give preference to women over men. I mean, I'm not sure about that. I really don't have a good answer for that.
Yeah, well, it's going to take making those courageous decisions, you know, taking a little bit of risk. I know it's not comfortable because there is inequality. You know, the inequality is there. It's very, very noticeable. And so it's going to take, for example, in any industry you are, people in leadership and in positions of power mindfully, intentionally creating opportunities for women to have those opportunities. Now, they may, I know that you look for the most qualified applicant, but within that frame, maybe changing the definition of what most qualified means. Because we know, the research shows that the type of leaderships vary. You could have people with type A or type B leadership skills, leadership abilities, and both leadership styles can be very effective. It's just a matter of, creating those opportunities for those types, different styles, to lead. And by the way, there's a lot of evidence that femininity and masculinity are more trait-based and not necessarily gender-based. So in other words, you could have a male with feminine traits who acquires, certain skills or certain ways of doing business very differently than a female who's very masculine. So masculinity and femininity are gender roles, but not necessarily gender type. They're not specific to being a man or a woman. But if we're trying to empower and create more opportunities for women, the WOMAN group gender, I think as leaders, as people in power, then we're consciously responsible to create those opportunities. And maybe it will take time because the men have been in positions of power and business and money and all that for a really, really long time. And so it's going to create a ripple effect. So once you see certain companies, taking more risk and hiring women and creating just different modalities of leadership and ways of leading and doing well, perhaps we can learn from those countries who are doing really well. I mean, there's an index on this, on countries who are doing really well. I think Iceland is, all the way up there. Rwanda, by the way, Rwanda is doing fabulous. So it's not about money per se. It's not about money as it ties to power. It's more opportunities that women have. And in Rwanda, the opportunities were sort of presented to women because a lot of men were killed in the genocide. So then women suddenly had these doors open to them in politics, in education, in business, in all sorts of fields, because now there was an opening, an opportunity, and now they're thriving. Now they're doing beautifully. Now you see business is booming, and the community's happy, and the children are thriving, and there's a lot of joy that is galvanizing and cultivating, peace. And so it takes, maybe we need to, as curious parents, we need to pay more attention and look into the programs who have been successful, the countries who have been successful, and share our resources, share our stories and narratives so that we can all benefit from those shared narratives.
Yeah, so actually one good example I can think of is there is one of the advisory board members of Gifted Parents. Her name is Rachel Prophet. She is a partner at a global law firm, and she actually had a webinar. So Gifted Parent has this weekly webinars conducted by these prominent speakers around the world in various industries, and she spoke about this very specific topic, balancing being a mother and executive at a huge law firm, which also is a very male-dominated industry, and how she also broke that glass ceiling of making it to a partner level as a woman. And someone like that is obviously a very pioneer to what we're talking about here, and there are more and more women like that. And it's, as you mentioned, it is a global phenomenon where more women are taking executive positions, and especially in the tech companies. Yahoo, they're run by female executives, and there are more as a cabinet positions in the administration now than ever before, and more Fortune 500 CEOs that are women than ever before. So I see that it is changing. The culture is changing, and the companies are making those different decisions than before. So I think there is a hope. And I mean, it will be happening. It's just more and more people need to take action on it.
Right.
And what you are doing here is obviously helping that too.
Well, yeah, I think we have to really stay laser focused on it. I see how it has huge impact on families' well-being and happiness. And so a lot of what we're trying to intervene, you know, like depression, anxiety, a lot of those stress responses and issues that we deal with later, I see that they go way back to the early years and some of those memories of mom not being treated well, you know, the mom not having been given opportunities to find happiness. You know, mom was depressed, mom was anxious, mom was not happy and feeling that she wasn't contributing in her own way. And so collectively, as a community, we're responsible to raise awareness and take action. So it goes hand in hand. We share our stories, like you said, within the gifted parents community. We're going to share our stories, our narratives. We're going to talk and empower each other. But also, we're going to be very strategic and curious and wonder about how we can raise awareness within family, create opportunities for women to lead, create more jobs for women, maybe be more supportive as a husband or a male, you know, the He for She campaign. I think that's huge. And if we could galvanize that, if we could spread that, if we could let that ripple in Asia, in the Middle East, especially where, you know, there's a lot of male domination, I think that would be very, very helpful for our kids, for our future. We're going to create more happiness and peace by doing that.
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, that type of education really needs to start at home. And
Yes.
one thing I might add to that is parents cannot just tell them what is the right thing to do. They need to show it so that the children will understand. The parents are not just talkers, talking the talk, but they're actually walking the walk. If you're disrespecting your wife and then tell your children that you need to, you know, respect women, then they're not going to be making any sense. And they're going to be thinking, well, if he's saying one thing, but he's doing something else, then that's not the right way to teach your children. So at home, as you treat your wife, as the wives treat their husbands, that equally they need to respect each other, and they actually show it to their children what they're teaching, not just tell them with words. I think that's one thing that I really trying to do in my own household, as well as trying to encourage that to all the members of Gifted Parents as well.
Beautiful. You framed it so well, and I thank you for that. Elijah Bach, the founder of Gifted Parents, it's always a pleasure having you on Mom Talk, especially on this very, very important journey of cultivating peace in the context of gender equality, the conversation of gender as it relates to peaceful parenting, and just creating that global citizenship and connection within our gifted parents community. Thank you for being on Mom Talk again. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for being a he for she.
Thank you so much, Nelly. I really enjoyed being here again, and hope to see you in person again soon.
Yes, yes. Enjoy the UN celebrations of women and International Women's Day. I wish I could be there, but I will be celebrating here thanks to technology. I'll be connected with you in New York, but it will be via technology.
Right.
Many blessings to you and your family. So I urge you to join International Women's Day. InternationalWomen'sDay.com is the website. You can connect with the community. You can join this community. You can pledge how you will press for progress, which is the focus on this year's celebration of Women's Day. And social media is a great tool to share your videos. Create your video, 30 seconds, 2 minutes or so, how you plan to press for progress. Peace.